The Federal Reserve report says credit card debt rose by the greatest amount in 2 decades. That's why in this video I wanted to go over some of the options for trying to pay off that debt and talk a little bit about what's going on right now. So, according to the New York Fed research, the fact that people are taking on more debt to pay for higher priced goods and services is a sign of robust demand, high inflation, and the Consumer Credit Panel also suggested that inflation has different impacts on younger and less wealthy cardholders whose debt burdens are increasing more rapidly and who are more likely to become delinquent. And that's for things such as, if you don't own your home, you're obviously, when the developers of apartments and housing areas come in and they say, hey, we want an extra 3 to 7% this year, that's the direct cost of inflation coming down there. And but it's not just them that it's affecting, because you have people that may own those homes, but and they're living on a fixed income from retirement, Social Security, stuff like that. And when they go to the grocery store, what they're seeing is the cost of those goods come up because the truck drivers are having to pay more in gas, and so they're pushing that cost down onto essentially the cost of the food itself. And then also those people living on the fixed income and the people that are lower income renting as well are also seeing the cost of those gas directly going up as well. So everybody's being pretty negatively affected by it right now. So Americans' credit card debt increased from July to September, as the Federal Reserve Bank of New York noted in a report Tuesday. Inflation is rampant, the report said. According to the New York Fed, credit card balances rose by $38 billion in the third quarter to $930 billion, matching the pre-pandemic peak of $930 billion in the fourth quarter of 2019. Credit debt is increased by 15% year over year, the largest jump in over 20 years. The rising credit debt is troubling since it occurs at a time when interest rates are at an all-time high, resulting in an increased burden on lower-income households and younger people. According to a group of New York Fed researchers, higher-priced goods and services are driving up demand, as reflected by new purchases on credit cards. The Consumer Credit Panel reveals that debt burdens and delinquency rates are rising faster for younger, less wealthy cardholders, which may be an indication of the distinct consequences of inflation. People who take out loans are becoming more indebted. Now, during the third quarter, younger borrowers, those under 30 years old, had the highest balances, surpassing pre-pandemic levels. The New York Fed reported, furthermore, younger adults had the smallest reduction in their average balances in absolute terms, small increase in balances. Senior borrowers 60 to 79 years old saw a modest increase in their average balances, but they were still lower than pre-pandemic values. Researchers claim that the financial cushion of borrowers across the U.S. has been significantly affected by the pandemic stimulus payments and aid within the last 2 years. According to them, Americans will continue to take on higher levels of credit as they try to compensate for inflation as a result of the global, financial cushion that's now been essentially largely gone. Those stimulus checks are no longer here. Going over the 3 methods to help pay off that debt if you are having some of these credit issues, that's what we're going to be getting into right now. And number 1 is the avalanche method. If you want to get out of debt as quickly as possible, you're going to want to start by listing your debts from highest interest rate to lowest. Make the minimum monthly payment on each, but throw all your extra cash at the highest interest rate debt. This is sometimes called the debt avalanche method of repayment. This strategy is good for saving money since you'll have paid the least amount of interest overall compared with other strategies. So if you have, say, $600 per month, you can budget for paying off debt. You would use the majority of those funds to pay off the highest interest debt first. Once that debt is paid off, you can focus those funds on the next highest interest debt and eliminate it faster, since you won't have as much interest to pay off. Number 2 is the snowball method. With the snowball method, you pay off your debts from smallest to largest. Getting a debt paid off in the shortest time possible is a good motivator that could help you stay on track. As with the avalanche method, you make the minimum monthly payments on each debt, then go full out on the one you're focused on paying off. Once you've repaid it in full, you put the money you were allocating to it towards the next largest debt on your list. This method is good for those motivated by small successes. Number 3 consider a balance transfer credit card. If you have a good to excellent credit despite your debt, which is possible if you've been making your monthly minimum payments on time and keeping your credit card utilization rate low, you may qualify for 0% APR balance transfer with a balance transfer credit card. This zero interest introductory offer could last anywhere from 12 to 21 months and will let you transfer your highest interest rate balances to the new card. That way, you'll save on interest for the duration of the 0% period, making it easier and faster to get out of high interest debt. So, I hope one of those three strategies are helpful to you to start ultimately coming up with a plan if you're having trouble with credit card debt, which is often half the battle. Figuring out your budget and how to cut back, as well as which debt you want to tackle first, can seem straightforward, but without some options, you may just end up doing nothing. So, comment down below your credit saving and payoff tips.